There we go. Good morning.
Good morning.
And welcome to this service of worship at the Unitarian Universalist Church of Tucson. My name is Thomas Gregg, and I am the worship associate this morning, Sunday, April 27, 2025. Our community is striving to become as varied as the blooms of the Sonoran Desert. Whoever you have been, we welcome you. Whoever you are, we welcome you. And whoever you are becoming, we welcome you and invite you to bring your whole self here now. Our speaker this morning is Margot Garcia, a longtime beloved member of this community who is honoring Earth Day. Please, let's give her a warm UUCT welcome. A little housekeeping, there are gender-specific bathrooms out the glass doors behind you in the lobby of the church. There is also an accessible and gender-inclusive single-stall restroom in the alcove behind the AV desk, and there are two more next door in the Goddard building. As we worship today, let us always remain mindful of those desert people who came first to this place, as we honor the O'odham, the Yaqui, and the Apache. And we also honor the Hohokam and the many other ancient indigenous peoples whose names are not known to us. As Unitarian Universalists, one of our core values is pluralism. And that value says we are all sacred beings, diverse in culture, experience, and theology. As we move more deeply into the sacred space of worship, please know that you are indeed welcome here, however you arrived, wherever you are on your spiritual journey, whatever cultural and ethnic background you claim, whomever you love, however you identify your gender, and in whatever way you choose to express it, you are truly welcome here.
Together this morning to remind one another, to rest for a moment on the forming edge of our lives, to resist the headlong tumble into the next moment until we claim for ourselves awareness and gratitude. Gratitude for the beauty of the earth, this spinning blue-green ball. Yes, Gaia, mother of everything. We will walk gently across your back to come together again in this place, to remember how we live, to remember who we are, to create who we will become. This house of laughter and silence, memory and hope is hallowed by our presence together.
This morning we welcome members of the facilities team to light our chalice. Please join me in saying our words for chalice lighting by Leslie Pohl Kosbau. Flame of fire, spark of the universe that warmed our ancestral hearth, agent of life and death, symbol of truth and freedom. We strive to understand ourselves and our earthly home.
Would you please rise as you are able and sing For the Beauty of the Earth, the opening song today. The words will be projected on the screen. It's number 21 in the gray hymnal, if you have those. For the beauty of the earth, for the splendor of the skies, for the love which from our birth over and around us lies, source of all to thee we raise this our hymn of grateful praise. For the joy of here and I, for the heart and mind's delight, for the mystic harmony, linking sense to sound and sight, source of all to thee we raise this our hymn of grateful praise. For the wonder of each hour, of the day and of the night, hill and vale and tree and flower, sun and moon and stars of light, source of all to thee we raise this our hymn of grateful praise. For the joy of human care, sister, brother, parent, child, for the kinship we all share, for all gentle thoughts and mild, source of all to thee we raise this our hymn of grateful praise.
That is a hymn from my childhood as a UU, so I love the way you all sang it with such vigor. It was wonderful. From the foreword written by Paul Brooks for the 25th anniversary edition of Rachel Carson's book, Silent Spring, he writes, 25 years after the original publication, Silent Spring has more than a historical interest. Such a book bridges the gulf that C.P. Snow called the two cultures. Rachel Carson was a realistic, well-trained scientist who possessed the insight and sensitivity of a poet. She had an emotional response to nature for which she did not apologize. The more she learned, the greater that she developed that sense called the sense of wonder. So she was able to make a book about death, a celebration of life. By rereading her book today, one is aware that its implications are far broader than the immediate crisis with which it dealt. By awakening us to the specific dangers, the poisoning of the earth with chemicals, she has helped us to recognize many other ways, some little known in her time, in which mankind is degrading the quality of our planet. And Silent Spring will continue to remind us that in our over-organized and over-mechanized individual initiative and courage will change. I need to put on my other glasses. Will change still count. That individual initiative and courage still count. And they can be brought about, and change can be brought about, not through incitement to war or violent revolution, but rather by altering the thinking, the direction of our thinking about the world we live in. Yes, Carolyn is.
Our earth is strong. It can hold our pain and our joy, our love and our anger. Our shared bowl, which we use for joys and sorrows each week, is strong enough to hold the big rocks, our collective celebrations and mournings, and also the smaller stones that we will be added to signify our individual joys and sorrows. We who live in the desert know that water is a life-sustaining and scarce resource. Let's remember those who are walking through our desert right now without access to water. We pour water from a plastic jug, similar to the ones used by No More Deaths and others who are seeking to assure greater access to water in the desert. If you have a joy or sorrow to share, I invite you to go to menti.com and put in the code 3908-4938. Please add your name to your Menti if you want us to know who is sharing. And if anyone here in the sanctuary wishes to put your thoughts on Menti and need help, Brian Moon can help you do that. If you're here in person, I invite you to come up to the table and create ripples of hope by putting a stone into the water to symbolize your joy or sorrow. Use both middle aisles and both sides of the bowl. If you have an accessibility need that restricts your ability to stand for long periods of time, I invite you to make your way toward the table first or wait until all others have gone. All right. We both have bad eyes, so we're going to do our best here. Requesting prayers for continuing protection, strength, and healing for a mother and her 2 young children who have escaped their abuser. Oh, wow. Joy in Earth Day, still being celebrated. Sorrow that sometimes it isn't every day. The selling of our national lands, scheduled recently, is definitely sad. Agreed. Thankful for my newish car and renewed independence. Always a great thing. Finally found a job, and maybe an even better job. Signed me. Deeply saddened and disturbed by anti-Semitic vandalism at a synagogue here in Tucson. Oh yeah. Wondering how we as a congregation can show our support. That's from Linny. Yeah, I saw that on the news. It's awful. And it's a good question. Wishing Reverend Bethany a fantastic candidating week. Yes, we all are. Sending love and hugs to Eve, Reverend Jamili, and family, and wishing you peace. Indeed, indeed. An engagement in the family, bringing us joy and hope. That's from Jennifer and Francis. Yay for engagements. And yeah, there's one more. Oh, where did it go? Okay. Yep. In early March, in church, I discovered that my mother's small diamond solitaire no longer on my finger. Ooh, I hope this sentimental piece from 1929 will show up. Don't know. Yep. With these challenging political times, someone recently mentioned this. Let's hope that Martin Luther King still prevails. The arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice. That's a good place to end these joys and sorrows today. Oh, huge joy that I have safety in this space to do what we're doing right now. Okay, great. A lot of fun and challenging artistic opportunities in the near future. Music is just applied physics, but what is applied is the soul. Ooh, I like that. I like that. I think that's everything. And I'm sorry if, we got all of them, I think. And if we missed it, I'm really sorry.
Hello? How many of you feel exhausted, tired, burned out, overwhelmed? I call it burnt crispy, and it's a feeling as a teacher I get every April. Carolyn McDade felt that feeling intensely, and she prayed, and the words that came out of her mouth were the song we're about to sing. Would you please, that in mind, rise and sing Spirit of Life? Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my
Today, we are honoring Earth Day. It was first celebrated on Saturday, April 22nd, 1970. A lot was happening in those days, and I want you to think about what life was like. You could read in the newspapers about how Cleveland's Cuyahoga River burst into flames. What? How does a river burn? Well, there was so many flammable liquids dumped into the river and floated to the top that it just caught fire. In those days, there were no controls on what could be dumped into the water. Factories, cities, homes just installed a pipe from their building to the nearest river. The watercourse was filled with sewage, chemicals, dead fish, and other delightful things. Amazingly, the next town downriver was going to put that water in their drinking water. People took their canoes and went up and down the river, documenting every pipe they found discharging into the water, and they presented their data to the state and federal governments. Nothing happened. The air was so polluted in the Los Angeles basin that people could not see the mountains. People living there had problems breathing, and the lungs of longtime Angelinos were black compared to the pink color of those who lived elsewhere. When I was working for the San Bernardino National Forest in Redlands, one of my colleagues told me how a newcomer had come into their neighborhood during the summer, which was the prime time for smog, and was amazed that my colleague worked for the Forest Service. He didn't see any mountains and forests around. And, where was that? It took quite a long time for the scientists to figure out what this stuff that they called smog was actually made of and where it came from. It came from sunlight acting on sulfur dioxide and nitrous oxides, primarily from car exhaust. That came about with then catalytic converters and changes in the gasoline formulation, as well as regulations on factory air releases. While there's still smog in some days from people driving cars, it's less than before. Protests and science made a difference. Not only that, but factories could take their solid or semi-solid waste, put it in a barrel, dig a hole, bury it in the ground, cover it over with soil, and then sell the land for development. And people built homes on top of that. Lois Gibbs, a mother and housewife, women didn't generally work outside the home in that era, was noticed that when she talked to her neighbors, that they were getting sick, and some were even dying. And dogs would come back from a run in the neighborhood, and big hunks of their fur would fall out. And sometimes in their lawns, there would be these black, gooey, smelly things that would bubble up. Nobody knew what they were. So she started documenting her findings and taking them to the state health department. She got no response or help to figure out what the problems were. You should read the story of Love Canal, and it's actually in New York. It's the state of New York, near where Reverend Bethany is gone to in Buffalo. So I was telling her she should go visit it. It's now been cleaned up and so forth. I wouldn't send her to a place that wasn't safe. But anyway, she finally, Lois Gibbs, a well-known figure from those earlier days, working with other people and allies and so forth, got a law passed in Congress, which was to prevent that from happening again. Senator Gaylord Nelson, a Democrat from Wisconsin, was speaking at a conference in Seattle, Washington in the fall of 1969. Not only were the problems that I've mentioned above but the 1960s were also a period of war protests over Vietnam. Some of us may remember that period. And Silent Spring, that I read to you about, a book by Rachel Carson, brought people's attention to the impacts of pesticides like DDT on birds, people, and the land. The public was waking up to the consequences of better living through chemistry. Senator Nelson suggested that on April 22nd, 1970, there should be a national teach-in. That was the method used with the Vietnam War protests, teach-ins. And that he wanted to raise the awareness of the impacts to the planet and to inspire individual citizens to take action. The response was electric. Finally, there was to be a forum where people could express their concerns about what was happening to the land and the water and the lakes and the air. There was an organizing group, but people just sprang into action, organizing events throughout the whole country. 20 million people, 10% of the population, gathered on that first Earth Day and participated. That event kicked off the decade, the environmental decade. And 8 months later, in December of 1970, President Nixon signed the law creating the Environmental Protection Agency, the EPA. Other laws followed: the Clean Air Act, the Clean Water Act, Endangered Species Act, Toxic Substances Control Act, Surface Mining and Reclamation Act, the Solid Waste Management Act, the Resource Conservation and Recycling Act, just to name a few. It was a heady time. And notice, Congress was working, right? They were making legislation. Right here in Tucson, we had the Hughes Aircraft Company, which is now Raytheon. They were using TCE to clean circuit boards for the missiles they were building. What to do with that waste TCE? It was a liquid. Why? Build a lagoon out and back behind the plant, and when they put it there, it disappeared. It must have evaporated in the hot air, sun. Wrong. It migrated down to the groundwater, and in South Tucson, neighbors talking to each other discovered clusters of cancers and other illnesses. They organized and protested, and finally it was pinpointed to the TCE that had migrated in the groundwater to the wells, supplying the drinking water to the neighborhood. The city put in a plant that pumped up the contaminated water and ran it in air stripping to remove the TCE, bringing the water to drinking water standards. Those plants are still working today to remove the contamination. And today we have the everlasting PFAS working its way from Davis-Monthan and the Air National Guard airfield in the groundwater aquifer into Midtown Tucson. The latest monitoring bill, just this fall, was drilled on Randolph Park, right near Broadway. So PFAS is moving north and west. The Safe Drinking Water Act sets the framework and therefore the standards for removing the carcinogens, like PFAS, from what we drink. The reason I tell you these stories is not to scare you, but to encourage you, because the reason we now have laws that set standards for drinking water, which are enforced. We have laws that require lined landfills so that the stuff we throw away, including chemicals, both industrial and those from our homes, such as cleansers and pesticides, it doesn't migrate into the groundwater anymore. We also require anyone disposing of liquid into the waters of the United States, and that includes rivers and arroyos, has to have a permit that quantifies the level of pollutants allowed to be discharged. All of these laws and regulations to protect our health and the health of the environment were a result of the efforts of citizens who demanded clean water to drink, clean air to breathe, and stopping the extinction of plants and animals on our planet. They banded together in protest, showing pictures of the horrible situations they found. They went to endless meetings and telling their stories of illness and death. The companies, of course, tried to stop them, to deny the veracity of their claims, but people and science prevailed. We have them to thank for the laws that protect human and environmental health and recognize the importance of ecosystems that support life on the planet. They all came about as a result of citizen action. People like you and me signing letters and petitions, talking to our congresspeople and senators, calling on the city council and county governments to do the right thing and protect our health, our environment, and save the plants and animals being lost due to human actions. Yes, it costs money and our time, but we want to live healthy lives and to see, so we are willing to pay, though we think the polluters should pay as well. But we can't do this if we stick together and work together. Collective action works. In an op-ed on Tuesday in the Arizona Daily Star, Robert Schwiebel, a clinical psychologist, wrote, quote, that people are most apt to take political action and protest when events affect them personally. When critical mass say, enough already, and take action, people in power see they will not get reelected. Maybe our legislators of both parties will find the courage to stop the madness, end quote. So the actions of hundreds of people, thousands of people, all over the country rallied for clean air, clean water, safe disposal of toxic waste, safeguarding our wildlife, and preserving the ability to see long distance in our national parks, like at the Grand Canyon. In fact, to save the Grand Canyon from being flooded by putting dams in the river at the bottom of the canyon. Luckily, that one was stopped. The theme for Earth Year this year is Save the Earth, the fate is in our hands. This week, in 174 countries, with 17,000 partners and organizations, 1 billion people participated in honoring the Earth and our environment. It is the largest secular civic event in the world. The message today of Earth Day is that collective action works. It worked to get the laws passed. Now we must rally to protect the gains we made in protecting our environment. We have each a part to play and an action we can take. How we live at home and at our workplace and standing up for our Earth. Its fate is in our hands. Well, what are we doing here at UUCT? It is through collective action that we make progress, that we elect officials with our values and remind them of what they promised. However, it is also through our individual actions, which each of us do every day, that stuff actually gets done. So we want to encourage you to keep our Earth in mind as you make decisions on what to buy, what to eat, how to travel, and how to throw things away, or better yet, repair and reuse. At UUCT, we have a facilities team that meets monthly. We want our church to be energy and water efficient. So a year ago, we created a green team to study how we use energy and handle our wastes at church. You're probably aware that we have had solar panels making electricity for our church for the past 14 years. We were one of the earliest churches to lease our roof space to hold the solar panels. And I just say that Carolyn Saunders, who's here, signed that lease as president. Thank you, Carolyn. Most every day we use the electricity we make, and if we make more than we use, the extra electricity is sent to TEP and we bank it. In the summer and early fall, when we use more electricity than we make, we use what's in the bank. And if we need more, then we get charged the regular rates for that extra power. Even so, the church uses about as much electricity as 4 average homes. For the last 14 years, we paid a fee of $975 a month to First Enterprise, who owns the panels. Our lease agreement states that every 5 years, we're supposed to look at the average monthly production, and if it's not 975 kilowatt hours, then we can negotiate a new monthly price up or down. Barb Rika did the analysis and found that we were not getting the production that we had been promised. So our bill is now down to $764, thanks to her work, for the next 5 years to make up for our overpayments. We had trouble with the inverter breaking down last year, so August and September, very hot months, we were not making any electricity at all, and we had bills of around $3,000 a month. Investing in solar panels was a good thing to do for the earth and for our church budget. Maybe you should look into doing this. I believe there's still some federal and state rebates. Our water usage is pretty standard, but now with the rainwater harvest garden, we're counting on the rain running off the roofs to go more directly to the plants. We've built basins and mulched them to capture and hold the water so it doesn't go onto the parking lot. For the next year, we will be using city water to get the plants established, but after that, we should see a decrease in water use, though we don't water the grounds much except when it's very, very hot. We use natural gas for water heaters, the stove, and heating the rooms in cold months. We're moving away as much as possible from fossil fuels to reduce greenhouse gases, using heat pumps for heating and cooling, which run on electricity, which of course we make. And a big user of our natural gas is the commercial-sized kitchen gas stove in Goddard, which is used daily by the Children's Center and by our Sunday kitchen ministry and renters. The new HVAC also uses natural gas for heating. We're trying to go to an electric hot water heater, but the units are more expensive, so we're still trying to assess the trade-offs. Waste management has gotten so complicated in an effort to put as little as possible into the landfill. In our investigations, we found that paper and cardboard is what we dispose of most. The paper and cardboard go into the 3 blue recycling bins that are picked up every other week by the City of Tucson Environmental Services Department. Thank you, Jesus, for hauling them to the curb for pickup. Please discard paper into the containers marked recycling. We get a few aluminum cans, some plastic water bottles, and plastic bottles that contain cleaning supplies. These also go into the recycling containers. We have established in the kitchen an orange bag for the hard-to-use recyclables. These are the hard-to-recycle plastics are film plastics like plastic bags, plastic wrapped around toilet paper and paper towels, candy wrappers, plastic covers over meat and vegetables. Veronica, who works for the Children's Center in the kitchen, has been very cooperative now in putting these in the orange bags. And Ken Ash picks them up each week and takes them to the city collection points. I have here some extra orange plastic bags. If some of you would like to get started in the program, just come and help yourself, as long as they last. Unfortunately, at this point, we have to buy the plastic bags because the program is managed by Hefty Renew. Essentially, we're paying them to collect the plastic and take it to one of their manufacturing plants to be used. Otherwise, recycling is paid for in our monthly waste management fee. When Bifusion is up and running within the next year, we'll be able simply to put the hard-to-recycle plastics in any bag and take it to the collection points. Maybe we can convince Republic, that owns the MRF, which is the materials recycling facility, to take the bag plastic and send it on to Bifusion. Right now, they're not willing to do that. The biggest source of waste that goes into the landfill are used diapers from the Children's Center. They are required to change the diapers frequently, and they all go in the trash. They also serve the children their meals on paper plates, and when the meal is over, the plate and all the leftovers go into the trash. Food waste is becoming a bigger problem everywhere as customers are very picky about produce and throw away food that could be used by cutting out that little bad spot. Peelings, rinds, leftover food can be composted. But that doesn't seem like a project the church can take on right now. If you're interested, there is a city program, Food Cycle, that will provide you with a closed container to keep your organic waste in, and then a drop-off place near you where you can take the material. The city collects it and takes it to Los Reales Sustainability Campus, where there is a permitted composting facility. When the material is finished composting, it's screened and used on the parks, and piles can be found near the composting collection point for people to take home. Of course, if one has the space, you can compost at home as well. Why not just put the organic material into the landfill like we've done for years? Because we've learned that as the organic material breaks down, one of the products is landfill gas, methane. And methane is a greenhouse gas. Methane can be captured, cleaned, and compressed to use in our CNG buses or gas stoves, but sadly in Tucson right now it's just being flared off. We're working to change that, but we haven't made it yet. And when we prune the trees on campus, we take the green waste to be chipped. We asked the company that did the big tree trimming last fall on our western property to please chip the material and leave it on site. Barb Rika and Ken Ash have raked and carried those materials to put around the parking lot medians so they will hold the water better and improve the soil with organic material. There's still some to be spread, and when it gets cooler, we'd welcome some volunteers to help give them a hand and improve the looks of our church campus and help hold the rainwater on site. We wanted to tell you what we were doing at church in the hopes that we would be an inspiration for you to undertake these activities at home as well. Yes, they take a little more time, but think of how you're helping the planet by reducing greenhouse gases, by reducing the amount of mining for aluminum as we reuse the aluminum from the collected cans. And think of the petroleum that's left in the ground because we're doing a better job at recycling plastics. It's very exciting that in Tucson, we're sending all the plastic jugs and bottles we collect to a sophisticated new plant in Las Vegas that sorts the plastics by type and color and then chips and flakes it. These then are feedstock for new plastic containers that are needed. A plant is being built in Buckeye, Arizona, to make those vegetable and meat trays from these chips. That's the circular economy that we're working toward. In waste management, we like to remember the mantra, reduce, buy less, use less, reuse. How can I take that clean glass jar to store some rice instead of a plastic container? Repair, and then recycle. And then the very last is to landfill the waste. There's so much that won't recycle easily, like fabrics from old clothes. But lightly used clothing can be worn by someone else. Furniture can find a new home. Rugs, lamps, books, and so much else can be used by someone else. Remember our rummage sale in the fall and put aside unused or unwanted items to contribute, thereby helping the planet as well as the church budget. Come and join us in as green a church as we can by using the right disposal bins. They're all very clearly labeled after coffee hour. Maybe we could go back to using mugs and glasses if we could find someone to help wash the dishes afterwards. That we have choices. Turn off the light when you leave the room. Use a glass instead of a disposable plastic bottle for drinking water. And if you have to use a disposable plastic bottle, take it home and put it in the recycling bin. Pick up that flattened aluminum can on the ground and take it home and put it in your recycle bin. Every little bit helps, and you are the one to do the help.
So one Sunday each month is designated as Share the Plate Sunday, on which we give half of the non-pledge collection to a community organization whose mission we support. Generosity is a spiritual practice, and Share the Plate is an expression of our mission. And appropriately, today, the Arizona Youth Climate Coalition is our Share the Plate recipient of the month. They are a collective youth-led organization fighting for climate justice across the Grand Canyon State through a combination of tactics ranging from direct action, mutual aid, civic engagement, education, and more. They are building a movement of young people from middle school to undergraduate college age to fight the climate crisis and the systems that created it. Their mission statement says that there can be no climate justice without racial, economic, and social justice. Solutions to the climate crisis will be community-driven and accessible, not privatized or for profit. Half of the amount of all checks made to UUCT that have Share the Plate written in the memo line, as well as half of all cash donations, will go to the Arizona Youth Climate Coalition. If Share the Plate is not written in your checks memo line, it will not be included. If you are joining us virtually, you can send a check to the church office with Share the Plate in the memo, or give online at uuctucson.org/donate. If you give online, be sure to indicate that your donation is for Share the Plate. This church is supported by the voluntary generosity of all who join with us. The offering will now be given and received in grateful appreciation of our shared hopes and values. The ushers will now receive your donations. And as the offering is collected, announcements will be about upcoming activities will appear on the screen.
Hello, everybody. My name is Brenda Lunt, and I serve as your board secretary, and I facilitate the worship portfolio. I have been given some lost and found items. If this purse is yours, it was found in the middle of the parking lot, it's got money and medicine, we would really like someone to claim it because we would like them to have that. We also found these keys in the ladies' room. If you would like to go home, you might need these. So you're welcome to find me after. We don't need to put anybody on the spot right now, but I want to make sure the lost and found things where it's front and center. So at this time, a board member will make announcements every time during our service. And I got to find my script. Give me just one second. I got caught up in the lost and found. So we have a couple of board announcements today. First thing I want to do is I want to invite everyone to social hour right after the service over in Goddard Hall, which is through these double doors, and in the next building over. There'll be coffee and snacks. Everything is free, but we welcome donations to cover the costs of providing that service. If you're new and you want to stay in touch with us, you can fill out a guest information card. Also in Goddard, there'll be a welcome center, and there'll be friendly volunteers there to help you fill out a card and answer any questions you have about the church or becoming more involved. Please mark May 18th in your calendar for our annual meeting. So that is 3 weeks from today. We hope to see all of you there. As you know, annual meeting is our yearly business meeting, and we need a certain amount of the congregation to be present to have a quorum and contract business. So we really hope that people make an effort to attend. Yes, sir. What time is it? It's going to be on the 18th, which is 3 weeks from today, and it's going to be right after church. So there's going to be lunch, and then we'll come back here at 12:30 for our meeting. Maybe 12:15. It's hard for people to get here by 12:15, but we'll try. The 18th of May. Yep. No worries. Also, next Sunday, so 1 week today on May 4th, may the 4th be with you, we're going to have a town hall right here to talk about our budget, to talk about the ministerial transition plan. So if you have any questions about things that we're going to talk about at annual meeting, or you need to talk to your board members about things, we're opening a town hall to give you that. I am drafting an email right now that will come to you sometime this week with links to the budget, to the governance plan for next year. All of the things that we're going to talk about at annual meeting, you will get via email, hopefully by Friday, so you have a couple days to look it over before our town hall on Sunday of next week, May 4th. And speaking of ministerial transition, as we wish Reverend Bethany well at candidating week, we would like to invite all of you to join us for our goodbye party for Reverend Bethany. We're going to do one Saturday, June 14th. In the evening, and more details of that will come out. Reverend Bethany's last day preaching with us is Sunday, June 15th, and Steve Kranak is organizing a quiche Reverend Bethany goodbye party, and he would like to invite us to potluck quiche lunch that day. And so he invites everybody to bring that. There's an announcement that went out in the Wednesday email, and you can sign up and tell him what you're bringing and help organize that. But so we'd love for people to participate with us on that. The other thing we'd like to do for Reverend Bethany is assemble a book of memories. So we would love some notes about gratitude, favorite moments, or words about how your ministry has touched her. You're going to share those and pictures with Wendy Gordon-Weeks, our board president. You can send it to president@uuctucson.org. There'll also be an email come out about that, I'm positive. But the goal is for us to gather these things and put them in a book and then have that book printed at one of the print-on-demand places so that Reverend Bethany can have like the ultimate personalized special yearbook of her time with us for all of us to remember together. And so finally, as a member of your board, I want to share, this is a million things I want you to do. We're supposed to, at the end, share ways you can get involved. We always need volunteers. But really, I just want you to come to annual meeting. Please. I don't want to have to do it twice. And really look for those emails coming from me this week. Well, they'll come from the church office, but I'm drafting them as your board secretary so that we can get all your questions answered next week, and then in 3 weeks, vote and come together to prepare our church for next year. So thank you so much. And if you need these, I'm sitting right there with Wendy.
We are grateful for the endless blessings we receive beyond what we could have conceived, for this journey that led us here and this path to follow of a love so dear.
It was a story, it was amazing, and actually I thought about bringing the book just in case, and I didn't do it. I had such great faith in our AV people. Oh, well. It's a lovely story, and if we have seen it once before, but I requested that we do it again, and the pictures are so great. So we'll try again. All right, I think we're going to sing The Blue Boat Home then.
If the planet was the size of a grain of sand, our observable universe would be approximately the size of our Earth. And if that analogy brings you awe, it was that spirit of wonder that infuses and inspired this last song. That in mind, please rise as you are able and join me in singing Blue Boat Home. Though below me I feel no motion, standing on these mountains and plains, far away from the rolling ocean, still my dry land heart can say, I've been sailing all my life now, never harbor or port have I known. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home. Sun, my sail, and moon, my rudder, as I ply the starry sea, leaning over the edge in wonder, casting questions into the deep, drifting here with my ship's companions, all we kindred pilgrim souls, making our way by the lights of the heavens in our beautiful blue boat. I give thanks to the waves upholding me, hail the great winds urging me on, read the infinite sea before me, sing the sky my sailor's song. I was born upon the fathoms, never harbor or port have I known. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat
As we extinguish the flame, but not the warmth of our commitment, let us remember until we meet again that ours is a religion which, like the sunshine, goes everywhere. Its temple, the whole earth, its shrine, the good heart, its ritual works of love, its professions of faith, divine living. Go in peace. Amen, and blessed be.
fool. For some reason, I really know some little trailers. We really put a